Waiting. Hey, everybody, here we are. Coffee with Jen and Sharon. I'm Sharon.
And I'm Jen. It's nice to see everybody this fine morning. If you're out there, give us a holler, because sometimes we don't know if anybody's actually out there. So we
Yes.
assume that somebody is watching.
Sometimes it takes a second for people to join on with us.
Exactly. So tell us where you're joining us from this morning if you are, because we're also curious about that.
Yeah. So it's hot today here. It's going to storm later. That's what we're doing here.
Yeah. Is that going to cool us down then, Sharon? Is that what's happening?
No, not till Friday. Not till Friday. So I just a little tangent before we get started. I dropped off my younger two at this. I guess it's a camp, even though my middle kid is a teenager already. But they get to ride horses, and they just hang out with animals all day. But I don't know exactly what they're going to do all day once it starts storming. So this should be interesting. Yeah. I'll have an earful later.
Horses, I think, are not keen on.
No, and you can't take the kids out in the lightning either. So it'll be a bit of a different day.
I want to go to this camp. I want to hang
out. I know. There's goats and there are bunnies and I don't know.
Oh, you've been holding out on me. I definitely want to go to this camp. Where is this? There needs to be mom camp.
Yeah, I don't even think we're allowed past the gate. I drop off the kids and they just go off on their own. And that's probably partly my kids and partly, the grown-ups in charge there. They don't want all the parents hanging around their horses and stuff.
Yeah, very
smart. But anyway, Jen, today we have an interesting topic.
Yeah.
And it's about when we're stuck. Some of us are stuck, maybe all of us are not, in that give and take sort of relationship with our teenagers, where it seems to be that one or both of us are always requesting stuff from the other. And maybe we're even saying, I'll give you X that you're asking for if you do Y that I've already asked you to do. And then, there's also the issue of how much time we're spending together. So do we want the time we're spending together to be this back and forth? Right. So I actually have a little exercise I want to ask us to do.
Okay, I like that.
All right, so if you're listening.
Are we going to stretch? I have to warm up before we do any exercise.
This is very light lifting.
Okay, good.
So if you look at your cell phone, and you look at the last text exchange you had with one or more of your teenagers. What was it about? And I did this right before we got on the call. And the one child, it was, can I have a ride, please? And there was a please.
I like
the please. The please was good. Yeah. And I knew this was a kid at work, so I knew that the ride was going to be needed anyway, so that was fine.
Right.
But then the one about that was negotiations over when we're going for a haircut.
Okay.
And things like that. So I don't know if you can share that, or if it's or if anyone watching could say, what was the last thing you texted about? Because
I think that would be a really fun exercise to see.
Yeah.
What commonalities we have. I have some suspicions that there are some commonalities. I think transportation is the big one, because unless they have their own wheels, they are always dependent on you for rides, and they don't really like being dependent on you for rides, and yet they become accustomed to it. And I did have times when my kids were both in high school where I felt like I just spent days driving back and forth between the same building, because they had different schedules and nobody ever wanted to wait to accommodate the other person. Like when they were both in the high school at the same time, and one of them had a club that was a half an hour long and the other one had a club that was like 45 minutes to an hour long, nobody wanted to be the one to say, oh, I'll just hang out and wait. They're like, well, can't you just come and get me now?
Or walk, God forbid.
No.
Do you have that?
That wasn't even on the radar. I mean, I think one kid maybe a couple times did have to walk, and I never heard the end of it.
Well, you don't live that close to the high school.
No, but it's not doable.
No.
Like, it wasn't like you have to walk. It was I gave an option. Like, you can wait 15 minutes for me to come get you, or you can start walking now and I'll meet you and pick you up. And fine, I'll just walk, it was
Mhm.
yeah, that is a negotiation that happens a lot, is over transportation. But I feel like in our house, the biggest negotiation that happens via text is food.
Okay. Tell
What
me more.
what we're eating, when we're eating it, where we're eating it, who's doing it, who's ordering it. Because right now, it's when it's hot like this, we don't have air conditioning in our home. Really, nobody wants to turn on the oven or even grill. It's just too hot right now. Um, we're a little wimpy that way, I guess. Anyway, so it becomes a negotiation of like who decided last time where we were eating out,
Oh,
or
I hate this.
somebody always picks a place that like 3 out of 4 people like, and that one person says, okay, I guess I don't get my way this time, or I'll just make something at home. So yeah, if I looked at my phone from yesterday, it was really mostly about food and
Okay.
where we went. And spoiler alert, we ended up at Chipotle. You know, I'm just going to say this. A lot of places are struggling right now. They need help. They don't have enough people helping.
Oh,
The line was long,
oh,
and
yes.
every table in that Chipotle had a tent card saying, "We're hiring. Yes, we're hiring." The full garbage can told me they are hiring. The
Yes.
line.
Sign up for the teens looking for jobs.
So please, if you're in my vicinity and you have a teen who needs work, please send them to my Chipotle, because I had to wait too long for my burrito.
Usually by July, you can't get a job anymore.
I
But this
know
summer, it's like every place is scrambling.
they are begging. They're begging for it. So that's the other thing. But
What about the grocery store? Is that another, like, can you get me extra in the grocery store, or?
yes, that is one. That is a very popular one. It's especially, I love this when the tables get turned. You know how sometimes we use our Find Friends or Life 360 to
Yeah.
see what our kids are up to. At some point, your kids figure out how to use it on you. And they're like, mom is at or near the grocery store, the drugstore, whatever it is. Could you get me some shampoo? I'd like this. I'm out of cereal. Could you get me this? So my kids are very polite about how they ask for things. And I will say that sometimes it goes the other way. Sometimes I'll be the one to say, hey, I know you're going to be driving by the such and such place. Could you stop in and get such and such? They're always very keen to make sure they will be reimbursed for this, though.
Yeah.
Just to let you know, that is something you should be prepared to reassure them that.
So here's a question I have for you, Jen. So say you have a child who maybe you're running an errand for already,
Mm-hmm.
and they say, can we stop for lunch? Not anything fancy, but like a takeout sandwich or something like that.
Uh-huh.
Is that a request for more transactional stuff, or is it a request for time together, or is it both?
Right.
And do we care? Do we take the time that we get? And
all right, I'm just going to say, you and I are minted from the same kind of parents, and there was not a lot of that happening in the days gone by. If I was being dragged out to buy some god awful clothes at JCPenney, sometimes, very rarely, my mom would throw me a bone and she'd be like, let's stop at the Arthur Treacher's fish and chips. And I was like, oh, huge treat. Like that was just never, ever on the offer table. And now I realize it's because my mother wanted it, not because she was. So, and I do know that when my kids were small, sometimes they would get a little treat to go to Starbucks, but I wanted to go to Starbucks. And sometimes they didn't even really want to go. They're like, oh, can I just stay in the car? And I'm like, no, you can't stay in the car. It's not allowed. You have to come in with me. But now I think that they're a little older. I actually really enjoy it when they want to do those little stops on the way somewhere to get a smoothie. Those moments are kind of fleeting and precious. They're off to college in a moment. So I'm all for it. If they suggest it, I think it's great. It's another way to spend time with them. Okay, yes, they are totally taking advantage of me and my pocketbook. Whatever, I'm over it. I'm happy to do it. Happy to spend the time with them.
That's wise.
I only have 2. You have 3. You might feel differently because that can be expensive.
Well, we do run into the fact that then if I only have one child with me, and I took them to the desired place, then there's a lot of balance sheet checking about, fairness and who got what when, and I mean,
someone's keeping a spreadsheet over there. I have a feeling.
there are, see, those young brains that the purpose that they use those young brains for is to keep exact track of who's gotten what at any moment and who is owed what.
Right.
And the fairness alarm rings regularly. So
the fairness doctrine does apply, and it goes, I'm just going to tell you now, it goes well into adulthood. I think even adult siblings with adult parents still feel a little bit like, hey, how come you got to do X, Y, and Z with mom and dad and I didn't?
You mean in the present day?
I think, yes.
Yeah.
You've got people in their, 40s, 50s, 60s. I think there's still some of that, like, mental bean counting going on. Like, hello, how come mom gave you that plate? I wanted that plate.
Oh, yeah.
Is,
Yeah.
So, I think that it's easy for our kids to look at that as a demonstration of you liked so-and-so better. And that's never our intent. It really isn't. We know that. And still it's hard to avoid that tallying. So
right.
I don't have any great solution for that, except to say to that other kid, okay, well, you tell me, where would you like to go? It's your outing day. It's your lucky day. I'm feeling generous. Where do you want to go?
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Mm-hmm. And I do have just one kid at home this week, so I should take that as a special opportunity to have some time together.
Yes, I think that is great. And maybe, maybe those other siblings don't have to know that the one got to go some ice cream or something. I think that my siblings feel like I got special treats because I was the last one left at home.
Oh, yeah.
I probably did get more one-on-one attention. Did I want it? I don't really know that I did, because by that point I was a teenager who was sort of like, I need my space. Don't need you up in my business. But I mean, there is something special about having that time. If you're one of several and you have that opportunity to have one-on-one time with your parents, I don't think it's ever going to be time that they'll regret, or that you will regret spending with them.
So that's one way to get out of the transactional mode, is just to embrace, that sometimes it's a chance to be together and to do something nice for them or together.
Right.
One that I had to think about, there's this story. So this woman that I think we both know, named Dawn, made this suggestion years ago. And she said that if you are stuck in your interactions with your kid, like it's negative, or maybe if it's transactional, you send them pictures of your pet.
Yes. I loved that suggestion. Yes.
Yeah. You remember this? And you probably did this when your kids were at college too.
Oh, all the time. And I just want to say too that Dawn has one of the cutest dogs you've ever seen. I think it's a Samoyed, and they're just like sleepy, huggable. I mean, you cannot be mad. If you see that picture, that is a total tension breaker. But yes, and at college, it's a great way to stay connected. Lee says, yes, it totally works. Okay, we want to see a picture of your pet, Lee.
Yeah, can people post pictures? I want to see them.
I think so. My kids would actually, I think that was their primary method of reaching out to us from college, was to say, can I see a picture of the cats? Or, what are they up to? And they do miss their pets, but it's also, I do believe that that's a way of them also saying, I kind of miss you, or I kind of miss home, without having to say that they have those feelings. So, and
if you are the parent who's like, I feel like I'm nagging, or like just, poking in too much, but I'm just thinking about them and wondering if they're okay. Mm-hmm. If you send them the pet picture, then they have to kind of respond.
Yes.
And it's an opener. It's like, hey, you're out there. Let's say hi to one another. No pressure.
I think I've also used the pets as like a attention breaker. If it's something like, Robbie was just wondering where you are, because he misses you.
He's ready to go to bed, and
exactly,
you're still out,
because they can't be mad at the pet. they might be a little irritated with you, but they can't be mad at the pet.
That's really a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that memes are another way too. And I have to say, my teenagers are better at this than I am.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I'll just get a random funny thing sent to me. And, I don't even always think it's funny because some of the stuff does not translate to this Gen X person that I am. I'm like, okay, I guess it's a little funny. I don't know. And they think it's hilarious, and their siblings all think it's hilarious. So it's just old person stuff. But it's very sweet. It's like a bid. Did you ever hear that? Is it like that marriage guy, John Gottman or something? No, I don't know. Apparently, when you're in a relationship with somebody, you're supposed to respond to bids. And bids are ways of reaching out to the other person.
It's like no, I don't know anything about this.
No, it's not a bid it's not a bid like in a game like where you're betting.
It's not poker.
It's just a way that you've reached out. You've sent the meme, you've sent the pet video, you've touched someone on the arm or something. And if the kid is reaching out in any way, we got to grab onto that, I guess.
I agree. I think memes can be definitely used as an olive branch. There's no doubt about that. I think, parents, our age, our generation, we tend to be the emoji users. Like
yes.
The kids are like, oh my God, my mom, the emojis out of control. But it gives them something to bond about. Like they can laugh about how we overuse the emojis. But they communicate with each other. I know my kids communicate with each other via meme and things that make no sense to me at all. But there's a little room for some overlap there, which to me is the GIF. The GIF is the perfect overlap of the meme and the emoji because you can find a GIF for anything. And if there's some favorite family movie you have, like in our house, it would be Napoleon Dynamite. There are 1,000 GIFs in there. There's a GIF for every occasion. So, you can send one of those and instantly everybody in your family group chat can relate to it.
Oh my gosh. You just gave me, this is so elementary, but if they ask you for a ride, you could just respond with like an office meme that says, absolutely. Like, Michael Scott saying, instead of just saying, yeah, I'll be right there.
Yes. I think your kids will really appreciate the extra effort you've put into the communication with them, Sharon. I'm gonna wait to hear back on how this goes. They'll be like,
I'm gonna try it.
You should. I think they'll enjoy it.
Sad news. Lee's pet cannot. She cannot post a picture of her pet, but we tried. Yeah.
Well, you know what, Lee? You can come onto our the Your Team Facebook page later. This is going to be posted on there, and you can post a picture on the chat under that. So if you desire, I think a pet thread is always a good idea.
Maybe I'll post a picture of my kitties. All right.
Oh, I love your kitties. Yes, definitely.
All right. Well, we should probably let folks go.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us.
We have text to return from our children.
Yes, we have homework.
We have homework, yes.
I'm using a GIF/GIF if it kills me today.
Yes, I just want to say I actually prefer GIF. I've always, in my head, I pronounce it as GIF, but I've tried to retrain myself because I read somewhere that the people who designed it, the programmers say the way to remember it is that choosy programmers choose GIF. So don't at me. I didn't invent it, didn't create it, don't even know why it's called that. I would have called it something totally different. But I do enjoy using them. I think they're a good way to spice up that communication with your teen so it is slightly less transactional and it adds that element of humor. So tell us how it works for you and what you selected, because we might want to borrow it. Always a good idea.
All right. Sounds good. All right,
good week, everybody. We'll see you next time. Oh, I think Sharon's
We're off next week.
Yeah,
yes.
Are we taking a vacation? Okay, good.
Yes, I will be traveling.
Everybody needs a vacation sometime. So
I'll report back. I'll be all refreshed when I come back.
Can't wait to hear all about it.
Okay. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a good week.
Bye.